I am back with Evan right after the Grizzlies game that saw Grizzlies versus Thunder that saw the Grizzlies win in dominating fashion.
Mhm.
I'm seething with anger right now, so I will try to tame down what I'm feeling. But I figured it'd be good to bring Evan back on for a quick episode, just since we touched on the Grizzlies this week. Evan, what did you see about the game that you liked overall?
Passion, which is sorely lacking,
Yep.
lacking in a big way for the Grizzlies in the first four games. Because the problem, and I've probably said this to some extent earlier, was just that in the first four games we looked depressed out on the court and just really could never put it together beyond one run against Portland in the third and one run against the Spurs at some point. But today it felt like we had that one run to catch back up at the end of the first and beginning of the second, but other than that, we didn't need runs, which really worked to our advantage. So just being able to have a consistent motor this game, I think, is what helped.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helped a lot. Early on, I thought we were about to run away with it because we came out and punched y'all in the mouth,
Yeah,
and I should have known it was unsustainable when Lou Dort is our guy that's banging home
but he got
three.
4 or 5 threes in the first quarter or something bizarre.
And I love Lou Dort as much as the next guy, but if we are relying on him to be our floor spacer, it's not going to work out well. And this has been Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's worst career game that I've ever seen. And the thing that really baffled me was he was struggling early, and it just seemed that he was convinced that taking more threes would help. When in fact, he should have tried to get to the rim, and not having Steven Adams in the middle to check Jonas Valanciunas
Yeah,
hurts
that's
us.
the caveat with this game automatically.
I've been a Nerlens Noel truther for a while, but I've never seen him completely dismantled and manscaped the way that Jonas Valanciunas bully balled him. I mean, he couldn't rebound. He couldn't. Jonas Valanciunas was getting to every single spot he wanted to on the floor, and Nerlens Noel lacked the muscle mass. He lacked the effort. I don't know what, even if it was for lack of effort, he just sucked today. Like, is there any other way to put it? He just sucked.
Yeah.
And
You give Jonas Valanciunas a 1 or 2 inch height advantage on any guy, and if he's got the muscle, I mean, playing professional basketball is about much more than just vitals and measurements and everything. But with Jonas Valanciunas, at least, it's like if you get the right measurements against the guy who's supposed to guard him, it's just not going to be a good day.
and it was like a field day for him. I mean, to start the third quarter, he did not miss his first shot till like halfway through, and then shortly after that, the bowling ball that is Lou Dort took him out for the rest of the quarter. But when I was looking at the Thunder offense in this game, um, I knew what I was going to get from Chris Paul. Chris Paul played a typical Chris Paul game. He had 17 points, 5 assists, and it was fine. Dort played really well, 16 points, 4 for 5 from three. That you're not going to get that every single night. Nerlens Noel, we've talked about that, but but for one, the 12 points out of Danilo Gallinari, who's a 20-point per game scorer for the Thunder, I was just so impressed with the Grizzlies' defensive continuity and their commitment to, one, keeping Chris Paul and SGA out of the lane, inviting a lot of those mid-range jump shots that typically, we hit. But that what happened was that then it's like Danilo couldn't even get open since the driving kicks weren't available. It was just a really bad game that I don't think just not having Steven Adams can be to blame. I think the Grizzlies had a really great game plan. I think John Morant and company knew that there's no way the Thunder keep shooting like they were in the first quarter. That was just not sustainable.
Yeah, I realized. I think the I think the numbers were 7 of 13 from three in the first quarter, and by that point, with a couple minutes to go in the quarter, I think the score was something like 36-19 or something egregious. And
Right.
I was telling my dad, like, listen, this happens every time. Every time that the Grizzlies have a nightmare quarter or a whole nightmare game, it a lot of the time the reason is that the opponent just is unconscious from three. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
played one of our games against the Pelicans this year before Zion was back in January. I mean, they shot about 50% from three. I think they were one shot away from hitting half their threes. And so when a team, makes 22 3-point shots, we can't possibly contest them. And so that's where I
Right.
thought this game was going. I thought, like you said, punched us in the mouth early. I thought, okay, 7 threes in the first quarter, on track to give up almost 30. We're going
Right.
to by 35 points. But
Wasn't that at all?
stop.
I, and a thing I was just lost at was Darius Baisley didn't play that well. I mean, if he still played better than Nerlens Noel when he got a couple minutes at center. The egregious one for me was Hamidou Diallo's 4 3-point attempts. I don't know what got into him. I don't know what he was thinking. I don't know. Just he should not be taking those shots, point blank, period, full stop. Everyone was like hitting the front of the rim. Just terrible.
One thing the Grizzlies broadcast team kept saying was, Pete Pranik was saying, I can't imagine how Billy Donovan feels about his team's shot selection right now. It has just been miserable.
The thing is, in every single loss, it's been that same story. When I think about the Denver loss overtime, Danilo Gallinari thought he was Kobe Bryant, and he was going to try to take contested mid-range fadeaways, pull up transition threes. Every time we lose, it's because you're doing too much. And a lot, it was a cumulative you're doing too much moment for me with the Thunder. I mean, Nerlens Noel doing too much. The definition of doing too much.
Yeah.
Amadou Diallo doing too much. Deonte Burton, when he came in and took a three that wasn't even an open three, it was a contested three, immediately I was like, okay, this is just the type of game that's going to – and I think what happened was maybe the 7 threes they hit early, everybody thought it was their day, but you would think that by halftime, if they've stopped going in, you'd say maybe we shouldn't be taking – and we can't be in the huddle. We can't do those things. So I kind of wonder what Billy Donovan was saying. And I had to imagine that, like, for you as a Grizzlies fan and the Grizzlies in general were just smiling every time they saw a Diallo pull up three or a Baisley three, or like those are guys that you're like, okay, I'll take it,
Well, I was smiling with the caveat that I was smiling on the outside, but like still terrified on the inside, that just knowing we've played so badly so far in the bubble that an 18-point lead in the fourth quarter wasn't safe. I didn't feel safe until a couple minutes after Donovan pulled all the starters and put the OKC crew in the game. But I was going to say, on the flip side of the coin about trying to do too much, like Diallo and Baisley were doing, I thought one guy that I didn't get to talk about a couple of days ago was DeAnthony Melton, who leading up to this game had been exactly doing way too much. I mean, he was shooting too many threes, which, he hits a couple every now and then. He was shooting too much. He was horrible from the free throw line. He honestly still is in this game. But I just trying to do too much, which granted that sort of falls on the shoulders of not having Tyus Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But in this game, DeAnthony Melton, who Grizzlies fans refer to as Mr. Do Something, he was Mr. Doing Something, but he wasn't doing too much. And he had these couple of those great defensive plays. He pulled the ball straight from under SGA's legs. I think that was
there had to be a foul in there somewhere.
Okay, so my dad called us when we were downstairs, and he said, listen, if that was the Blazers game, the refs would have called 5 fouls on one possession because of how tightly and like just stupidly the refs were calling games earlier on. But I mean, I was glad to see the refs let him play, and I thought that those pair of steals and breakaways by Melton sort of blew the doors off.
Right. I think that one broke the back
yeah.
of the OKC Thunder. One guy that we talked about in short on, I think it was Wednesday, was Gorgie Dieng, who actually got minutes today.
Got in double figures today. Mr. Trebuchet got a 3 to go in the first quarter.
I was frustrated because I was like, this guy goes from not playing and then now had a near double-double, 12 and 7. Mm-hmm. What? just
it's a matter of how the rotation shifts without JJJ. So when Jonas got in a little bit of foul trouble in the first half, Gorgie was able to come in, hit that 3. Just there were a couple times that I think maybe Grayson Allen one time lobbed him something. He had a couple of lobs that didn't become lobs, but when Gorgie throws it down, that's fun. But yeah, I was glad to see him get minutes and make the most of them today.
And Grayson Allen hit 3 timely threes. I mean, it was in the middle. I want to say in the middle of that run in
The early
second
second quarter.
quarter. Yep. And I sent you a text that Grayson Allen had assumed the spirit of Steph Curry once he entered the bubble.
And of
But
course, I reminded you that Steph Curry has just always had the spirit of Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen was back to form today.
I want to figure out what it was a completely different Memphis team than what we were talking about on Wednesday. And what happened? What in what you saw, was it just the energy standpoint, or
Yeah,
what?
I mean, I think a lot of today's win can be chalked up to the intangibles, which are less and less popular to talk about in NBA circles, I'm sure, but the intangibles of sense of urgency, energy, passion, um, which I kind of was surprised didn't kick in last game because I figured if anything, losing Jaren Jackson for the rest of the season would kick something into gear. But yeah, it felt like today there was just a different sense of urgency. I mean, Grizzlies Twitter has been a little bit set abuzz by seeing the empirical numbers about what needs to happen for us to hold on to the 8 seed. And now that we've won today, the Blazers need to go 2-2 to overtake us, I believe, assuming we don't win anymore. And at this point, every other team behind the Blazers, so Suns, Kings, Pelicans, and Spurs, all have to win out in order to overtake us. So I think the Grizzlies, maybe took a look at those numbers and sort of guided through their minds. All it takes is one win. If we're going to have a horrible 8 seeding games, that's fine. But we got to win this one game. We'll set ourselves up to at least be in the play-in game, which, again, depending on who we play, and it's looking more and more likely to be the Blazers, will definitely be a challenge, whether we're the 8 or the 9 seed, if we make it at all. But yeah, is that sense of urgency that kicked in.
Right. Anyway, it's been a treat to lose to you guys again. It's just
been a treat to win.
I don't know what goes on in these OKC Thunder and Grizzlies games, but the Thunder tend to just forget how to do basketball, and that's fine. That's fine. It's been fun, Evan. Hopefully we get to talk soon if the Grizzlies end up playing the Blazers or something.
I think what'll happen is the Grizzlies will make the 8 seed, will sweep the Lakers, and
wow,
guys in the second round under the 5 seed.
Oh, definitely. And then you're going to be seeing the Thunder hold up the Larry O.B.
Absolutely.
With Chris Paul taking home Finals MVP, changing his legacy. All right. It's getting crazy. I'll talk to you later.
Peace out.